Okay, I want to start today with a quick challenge. I'm going to say a word, and I want you to catch the very first image that flashes in your mind. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
The word is seduction.
I can already guess what most people are thinking.
I bet you can. It's probably, a candlelit dinner, maybe some smooth jazz in the background, or maybe a guy in a bar trying way too hard with a cheesy pickup line.
Right.
It feels, I don't know, a little small, maybe even a bit manipulative or creepy.
And that is exactly where most people stop. They see seduction as this really narrow, sort of tawdry game of dating and romance.
Yeah.
But if you actually peel back the layers, that is a massive misunderstanding. Seduction isn't just about sex. It is the ultimate form of power.
And that is the hook for today's deep dive. We are digging into a heavy hitter, Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction. Now, if you know Greene from the 48 Laws of Power, you know he doesn't write fluffy self-help books. He writes field manuals for social warfare.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this book is arguably the psychological companion to his work on power. The premise he sets up in the preface is just fascinating. He argues that in the modern world, the old ways of getting what you want, brute force, coercion, just demanding
They
things.
just don't work anymore,
They don't.
right? Because if you try to bully people today, you get canceled, you get fired, you just get ignored. We live in a democratic, socially sensitive world.
Exactly. So if force is off the table, what's left? Seduction? It's the indirect approach. It's the ability to disarm people psychologically so that they surrender without a fight. In fact, the goal is to get them to want to do what you want them to do.
Surrender without a fight. I love that phrase. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack exactly how that mechanism works. And Greene breaks this down into specific character types.
The seductive characters?
The seductive characters, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the psychological profiles that naturally disarm us. And let me tell you, the historical examples in this book are absolutely wild. We've got Cleopatra rolling herself up in carpets. We've got JFK. And we've got a French dupe tunneling through a kitchen cupboard to get to a lover.
It's an incredible collection of human behavior. But before we get to the specific archetypes, the masks we wear, we really need to understand the philosophy behind it. Greene frames seduction as this major shift in the history of power.
Yeah, let's unpack that history. Because Greene argues that originally power was just violence.
Correct. In the ancient world, power was physical. It was brute strength. If you were the strongest, you were the king. And in that system, well, women were largely disadvantaged. They didn't typically command armies or have the physical strength to coerce men. So Greene makes this argument that women actually invented seduction.
It was a survival strategy.
It was. It was a way to control powerful men generals, emperors, without lifting a sword. They created a game where the rules weren't about muscle, but about psychology. They mastered the art of being fascinating.
The first great seductresses. But this didn't stay a female-only strategy for long.
No, and that's the big shift. Men started to realize, wait a minute, this is actually more effective than just threatening people. And you see this move into the realm of courtiers, politicians. Napoleon is a great example.
Oh, how so?
He seduced the masses. He used theater and image and grandeur to win people over. He didn't just conquer, he enchanted.
That word enchanted leads to a really important distinction Greene makes. I think a lot of people assume seduction is just about triggering lust, just being hot.
That's the biggest misconception. Lust is biological. It's a chemical spike. It happens fast and it fades fast. It's transactional.
Right.
Greene argues that true seduction creates enchantment. It creates love. Because when someone is in love, they are emotionally pliable. They stop thinking rationally.
They surrender psychologically.
Exactly. Lust is temporary. Love is a spell. And to cast that spell, Greene says you have to do something that is very, very difficult for most people. You have to stop being self-absorbed.
Which is so ironic because we usually think of players or seducers as total narcissists.
But the successful ones aren't. The anti-seducer, the person who fails, is the one stuck in their own head, worrying about how they look, talking about themselves constantly. The true seducer turns their gaze outward. They study the target. They figure out what the target is missing, what they fear, what they crave. It is a deeply empathetic process, even if the end goal is control.
Okay, so let's get into these archetypes. These are the specific personalities Greene identifies as having this immense power. And we have to start with the most legendary one, the siren.
The siren. This is the archetype of the theatrical spectacle. Think about the target for a moment. Usually a powerful man, burdened by responsibility, rationality, and, well, boredom.
So much boredom.
And the siren offers a release from all that. She offers a world of pure pleasure and danger.
The ultimate male fantasy. And obviously, the historical heavyweight here is Cleopatra. Now, when I picture Cleopatra, I'm thinking Elizabeth Taylor. Stunningly beautiful. But Greene points out that the history books tell a different story.
That's the key insight. Historical accounts say Cleopatra wasn't actually the most beautiful woman in Alexandria. She had a prominent nose. She wasn't physically perfect. Her power wasn't her face.
It was her showmanship.
It was her ability to create a spectacle. She was a master of the grand entrance.
The carpet strategy, I love this story. Break it down.
So Julius Caesar is in Egypt. He is, arguably the most powerful man on earth. Cleopatra is in exile and needs to get to him, but she can't just walk in. So what does she do?
She gets creative.
She has herself rolled up in a rug. A merchant carries this rug past the guards, brings it into Caesar's room, unfurls it, and boom, there's the young queen rising up from the floor.
It's total theater.
It is. It's surprise. She didn't just say hello. She appeared like a dream or a goddess. She caught him completely off guard, and she did it again with Mark Antony.
Right, because he was a different kind of guy.
Totally different. He considered himself this Dionysian figure.
Yeah.
He loved excess, partying, wine, so she didn't just invite him to dinner.
No, she staged a full-on production.
She arrived on a barge with purple sails, silver oars rowing to the beat of ethereal music, dressed as Aphrodite. She turned herself into a living, breathing hallucination. She kept these powerful men constantly distracted, constantly confused, and never, ever bored.
That seems to be the siren's #1 rule.
Yeah.
Never let them get bored. If we fast forward a couple thousand years, Greene connects the same energy to Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, the sex siren. But with Marilyn, there's a specific nuance. It wasn't just that she was beautiful. There's a famous anecdote about her in an orphanage when she was young.
Mm-hmm.
She was wearing a sweater that was too small, borrowed from a younger girl, and she realized that boys were staring at her. She wrote in her diary that they looked at her as if she were a gold mine.
Wow. She recognized her power early. But it wasn't just aggressive sexuality, was it? Greene talks about a duality.
And that's what made her so potent. It was the mix of a high sexual charge with the innocence of a little girl, the gaming quality. Her voice was breathy and childlike.
Right.
This triggers a protective instinct in men while simultaneously triggering lust. It's confusing. And in seduction, confusion is good. It hints at danger, but also vulnerability.
So the siren uses spectacle and that mix of danger and pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's flip the script and talk about the male counterpart to this energy, the rake.
The rake is a fascinating figure because he answers a specific female repression. Historically, and even today, women are often expected to be the gatekeepers of morality, responsible, safe, cautious.
Mm-hmm.
The rake offers a release from safety. He offers the fantasy of a man who will go to the absolute ends of the earth for a woman, even if it's just for a moment.
The bad boy with a heart of fire. But the key here isn't just being a jerk. It's being relentless.
Relentless is the word. Greene uses the Duc de Richelieu as the prime example. He was the ardent rake. There's a story of him pursuing Mademoiselle de Valois. She had this strict chaperone who never left her side. So what does Richelieu do?
I can't imagine.
He waits until they are at a park, and he dresses up as a beggar just to get close enough to make eye contact.
And didn't he escalate that to dressing as her maid?
He did. He actually disguised himself as her maid to get access to her bedroom. Now, on the surface, that sounds ridiculous.
It sounds insane.
It does. But think about the psychological impact. It signals to the woman, I desire you so much that I will humiliate myself, I will break every rule, I will risk my reputation just to be near you. That is incredibly flattering.
It puts her at the center of the entire universe. And he didn't stop there. The tunnel story is my favorite.
Yes. He bought the house next door to a different lover he was pursuing, just so he could tunnel through the wall and pop out of her kitchen cupboard. It's the sheer effort. It just overrides a woman's resistance because she thinks, if he's doing all this, it must be fate.
But there's another type of rake Greene discusses. Gabriel D'Annunzio. Now, unlike the Duke or Casanova, D'Annunzio was, well, let's be honest, he was ugly.
The descriptions are not kind. He was short, had bulging eyes, splotchy skin, but he seduced some of the most famous and beautiful women in Europe.
So how does a guy with bulging eyes pull that off?
The power of language. He was the demonic rake. His voice was described as hypnotic, almost musical. He used words to insinuate and flatter. He would write poems for his targets that felt deeply personal. He understood that while men are often visual, women, in the context of seduction, are often verbal. He wrapped them in this web of words.
He stimulated their minds.
Exactly. And there's one more secret weapon for the rake that Greene mentions, reputation. You'd think a bad reputation as a womanizer would hurt you, but for the rake, it's gold.
It's the social proof, right?
It is. If a man is known to be desired by many women, it suggests he must have something amazing to offer. But more importantly, it creates a competitive desire. A woman thinks, all those other women failed to keep him, but I am special. I will be the one to tame him.
The classic, I can fix him trap.
Yeah.
Weaponized by the rake. Okay, moving on. This next one is perhaps the most subtle, but maybe the most powerful, because it feels so personal. The ideal lover.
The ideal lover works like a mirror. You see, we all have broken dreams, lost ideals, things we feel are missing from our lives. Adventure, romance, a spiritual connection. The ideal lover observes the target, figures out what that missing piece is, and then transforms themselves into it.
The master of this was Casanova. We use his name as a synonym for a player, but Greene says he wasn't just running the same game on everyone, he was a chameleon.
Completely adaptive. Take the story of the burgomaster's wife in Cologne. She was bored, stuck in a dull, respectable marriage. She didn't need poetry, she needed excitement.
So what did Casanova give her?
He gave her a thriller movie. He hid in a rat-filled confessional booth in a chapel just to meet her secretly.
Wait, a rat-filled booth? That sounds horrible.
To us, but for her, it was dangerous. It was raw. It made her life feel like a high-stakes adventure. He cured her boredom.
But then there was Ignacia, the Spanish girl. She was super pious, very religious. She didn't want a thriller.
Right. She needed to be good. But she had suppressed desires. So Casanova didn't offer her a dirty affair. He framed their relationship as a passing madness, a spiritual test.
Wow.
He validated her religious guilt while providing the transgression she secretly craved. He allowed her to be a sinner and a saint at the same time.
That is immense psychological agility. And Greene points out this applies to politics, too. It's not just for the bedroom.
Oh, it scales up perfectly. Look at Madame de Pompadour and King Louis XV. Louis was this bored, depressive monarch. He had plenty of mistresses, but he was empty inside. He wanted to be a great king, a cultural leader, but he lacked the drive. Pompadour didn't just use sex. She became his architect. She built theaters. She staged plays. She advised him on art. She made him feel like the great cultural patron he wanted to be.
She appealed to his better self.
Exactly. And Greene connects this directly to John F. Kennedy. Think about JFK in 1960. He was the ideal lover for the American public.
Camelot.
Right. He didn't just sell policy. He appealed to a lost pioneer spirit with the space race. He held up a mirror to America and said, this is who you are. Young, vigorous, adventurous. He made the country fall in love with a version of itself.
It's amazing how these patterns repeat on such different scales. Now, let's talk about a type that creates attraction through confusion. The dandy.
The dandy is the ambiguous rebel. Society loves to put us in boxes, masculine and feminine, these rigid roles. The dandy refuses to stay in the box. They are fluid, they are impudent, and that freedom is incredibly seductive because most of us feel trapped in our roles.
The classic example here is Rudolph Valentino, the Latin lover of the silent film era. But he wasn't a John Wayne type.
Oh, far from it. He was the feminine dandy. He had been a taxi dancer, a paid dance partner. He moved with incredible grace. On screen, he wore jewelry, he wore heavy eye makeup, he allowed himself to be objectified almost like a woman.
There's that famous scene where a woman points a gun at him?
Yes. And instead of wrestling it away like an action hero, he just calmly points a cigarette holder back at her.
It was insolent.
Totally. But he wasn't seen as weak, and that's the trick. He retained this dangerous masculine edge, but he wrapped it in feminine allure. It disarmed women. It allowed them to relax their defenses because he didn't seem like the typical aggressive male, yet he possessed that underlying power.
And on the flip side, we have Lou Andrea Salome. She was a masculine dandy.
She was a brilliant intellectual who terrified and fascinated the greatest minds of her time, Nietzsche, Rilke, Freud. At a time when women were expected to be submissive and domestic, she was fiercely independent.
Yeah.
She refused to marry, she smoked, she had a ruthless analytical mind.
She broke Nietzsche's heart, didn't she?
She destroyed him. Because she confused men, she mixed coquettishness with a hard masculine intellect. Men didn't know how to categorize her. Was she a lover? A rival? A muse? That ambiguity keeps the target obsessed.
It seems like the core technique of the dandy is insolence. Greene mentions Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde is the prototype. There's a story where he made an entire audience wait while he finished smoking a cigarette. He just didn't care. The dandy signals, I live in my own world, by my own rules, and we, the audience, desperately want to be invited into that world.
Okay, we're down to the final type we're covering today, the natural.
Mhm.
This one is interesting because it's not about being sophisticated or dangerous. It's almost the opposite.
It's the return to childhood. If you think about it, childhood is the golden age. We all secretly want to return to spontaneity, sincerity, a lack of defensiveness. The natural embodies those lost qualities.
And the great example is Charlie Chaplin.
The tramp! Think about that character. He wears oversized pants, he walks funny, he's small, he views the world with these innocent eyes. He's always the underdog, fighting against big, mean bullies.
You immediately sympathize with them.
That's the key emotion, sympathy. Greene breaks down the traits of the natural. The innocent, who elicits protection. The imp, who is fearlessly naughty, which we envy because we have to be so polite all the time. And the undefensive lover.
Being undefensive is huge.
Mm.
If you're open, people relax.
Exactly. Defensiveness creates resistance. If you are open, playful, and exposed, people lower their guard. They want to play with you. They want to protect you. It's a way of disarming people by appearing weak when, in reality, you are controlling the dynamic because they are emotionally invested in you.
So we've unpacked these types, the siren, the rake, the ideal lover, the dandy, the natural. And Greene's point isn't that you have to fundamentally change who you are and put on a fake mask, right?
That is the synthesis, yeah. Acting is exhausting. You can't sustain a fake personality. The goal of the book is to help you identify which type fits your natural character. We all have these qualities buried under layers of social conditioning. Are you naturally observant? Maybe you lean toward the ideal lover. Are you naturally playful and spontaneous? Maybe you're a natural.
It's about polishing what's already there. But we should probably mention the warning Greene gives, the anti-seducer.
The anti-seducer is the person we should all fear becoming. This is the person who is insecure, self-absorbed, unable to read the room. They repel people because they are stuck in their own head. They talk when they should listen. They create awkwardness instead of flow. Seduction, at its core, requires you to get out of your own head and into the mind of your target.
So, bringing it all home, what does this mean for you, the listener? Is this just a toolkit for manipulation?
I think if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about understanding human needs. Greene's argument is that the world is harsh. Reality is often boring, painful, or indifferent.
Yeah.
The seducer, whether it's a siren creating a spectacle or an ideal lover validating a dream, is someone who creates a reality that is more pleasant, more exciting, and more meaningful than daily life.
You're bringing illusion and fantasy to a world that is desperate for it.
Precisely. You aren't just lying. You are curating an experience. You are bringing color to a gray world. As we like to say, you are becoming the artist of your own interactions.
Be the artist of your own interactions. That is a powerful place to leave it. We hope this deep dive gave you some tools not to manipulate, but to enchant. Thanks for listening.
Until next time.